guys, by the way, that's all my fault because I was joking about the porn and we just went here. Yeah. Rob's story is about the 15-minute cities in New York, the congestion, toll. Rob, as a New Yorker.
I think it's a gateway to the 15-minute cities. So, Vinny, you are the only born New Yorker here. Do you know what is below 60th Street in Manhattan?
What's below it?
South of 60th Street in Manhattan. Did you know that it encompasses all of Manhattan? You can it's the Upper West Side, the Upper East Side, Midtown, Hell's Kitchen, Flatiron District, Chelsea, the Greenwich Village, East Village, Soho, Chinatown, and the Financial District.
So to get to there, you have to go through this congestion toll.
Correct. They have now created a congestion toll. Now, luckily for you New Yorkers, and originally it was going to be $15, but thank you to Kathy Hochul, and we'll hear from her in just a second. It's now only $9 during peak hours to travel below 60th Street in New York, which means if you go to New York and you want to go to Central Park, Columbus Circle, the Broadway Theater District, Empire State Building, Times Square, Madison Square Garden, Hudson Valley, my favorite, the World Trade Center and the 9/11 Museum, or Battery Park, you have to pay $9. If you're in a taxi, the taxi now has to pay 75 cents, which is okay, fine. Lyfts have to pay $1.50. Buses and trucks are going to have to pay $14.40
every time.
New York, every time you go through the toll.
What street is Harlem on? So Harlem's in like the 120s, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure.
It's above
literally
100.
It's above.
I didn't look up maps. I should have asked Humberto.
Well,
streets.
I'm going to throw out the accusation because it's what they would do. This is racist.
Big time.
If it is going to disparately impact certain demographics who live above a certain
such a racist.
And it's unfair to people who can't afford it.
Oh, and I talked to Kelly about this. You know what this is going to force? People to take the train. And you know what happens in the train in New York? Rob?
You get lit on fire.
You get burned alive and stabbed and shot. And if you protect somebody, you go to jail. Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Well, so the funds are designated. What they're trying to do is they're trying to save money for the MTA, the Metropolitan Transit Authority.
Oh, yeah.
They anticipate that it'll reduce 80,000 vehicles from entering the city daily, leading to decreased traffic, improved air quality, and faster emergency response times. The MTA plans to raise the tolls. This is great because here's Kathy Hochul where she's bragging about getting them lowered. But in 2028, they're going to raise the toll another $3 to $12. And then in 2031, if the world still exists
here,
we're going to have $15 tolls back to the original price that they wanted, where Kathy Hochul right here is bragging about having reduced.
So I made the decision to put the congestion pricing program on pause while we devise a different path forward. State law requires that congestion pricing simultaneously raise money for the MTA and drive down traffic congestion.
Even the sign language guy's pissed.
These are important priorities.
This is a sign
But I believe that no New Yorker should have to pay a penny more than absolutely necessary to achieve these goals.
A penny more than necessary
and $15 was too much.
Look at the sign language guy.
To announce, we have found a path to fund the MTA, reduce congestion, and keep millions of dollars in the pockets of our commuters. Under this plan, the MTA will implement a congestion pricing plan with a reduced daytime toll of $9 beginning in January.
We could cut it there. A reduced daytime toll. A reduced from something that didn't exist.
Yeah.
There's no reduction there. It's an increase from $0 to $9.
Yeah.
You're sitting here bragging about there being a reduction, but then you're going to jack the cost up to $15 per car in 2031.
Bro, the silent, and I'm sorry, because Jake said the sign language guy looked like he was doing paper origami with no paper. Even he was like,
do you remember there
what
was
are you crazy?
Do you remember the story of the woman that was the fake?
Yeah.
So she was faking, making things.
I knew it.
It was for the one black guy too. He was like,
it was for oh man,
knew
what
it.
concert was it? It was Beyonce. It was Beyonce at the Super Bowl. She was just dancing. Hey,
oh
you know
my
what? You know
God.
what New Yorkers are gonna do about this?
what?
I'm walking here.
Well, I saw a Hasidic Jew on a scooter on the freaking bridge, on the Brooklyn Bridge. And they're like, what was it?
It was a meme. I forget who posted it. It said $9 to cross the bridge. F that. No, I was gonna say like logically, it still doesn't make sense because the ticket would be more than $9, so that has to factor into the play. Does everybody hate Kathy Hochul as much as I do?
She is
She
one
turns
of
my
them.
stomach.
She's one of them. She's one of them. And you guys all know what, like, just a discuss her, like Gretchen Whitmer and her, they came out of the same shit factory.
Well, but they look like iterations, younger iterations of Hillary Clinton. They have the same demeanor, they have the same inflection when they speak, and they make me want to puke in the same way.
And Rob, I hate to cut you off.
They're
I'm telling you guys, and we've said this how many times on this podcast, conservative women bury liberal, disgusting, they're just bitter. Like, look at Nancy Pelosi, that's your future. If you're a liberal Democrat, it's just like the earth and this gravity is gonna make you into a freaking piece of coal.
Well, her husband's banging dudes, so think about how bad she must be.
Allegedly. By the way, one of my favorite parts of what Kathy Hochul said is that it's going to help response times for first responders, for emergency responders. But the FDNY does not agree. This is from the New York Post. This came out the day after, or the day before a few days after the toll went into effect. FDNY unions say congestion toll will hurt response times. Here's what they're saying. To avoid the tolls, many firefighters will opt to not drive their personal vehicles to work. What does that mean? It's going to hinder their ability to respond promptly to emergencies outside their assigned zones. So, like, if you're a firefighter and there's a fire in a zone that's not yours, but you're already in the city, you're in your own personal vehicle, some firefighters will go and help respond. Now they're saying they're not going to be able to because they don't have their personal vehicles. Also, without their personal vehicles, firefighters may now need to use mass transit, carrying their 85-pound gear onto the bus to respond to fires throughout the city.
That's insane.
Rob, may I ask you, why did they have the picture of Luigi Mangione in the header of that article? Was that a warning?
And they screen grabbed it. I don't know.
You better rescind that.
He has to pay too.
Could be the difference between life and death, and it's just his face.
No, it's probably a video that was playing, and that was like an unrelated news item.
That is so funny.
Can we go to the next video, though? Because the next video is the FDNY, where they're like, Kathy Hochul's full of shit. This is going to hurt us.
This is a sad day for public safety for the New York City Fire Department.
Boy.
I love that.
We have a very unique situation in which our members have utilized their vehicles in the past to transport their gear, who arrived prior to the start of the tour, so there was no break in service. It allows not only better management, but better continuity. Unfortunately, we're now telling those same members not to bring their car into the business district. We're actually incurring a larger cost on one civil servant over another. So in response to that, the members have chose not to take their vehicle in. They've chose to take public transportation. Unfortunately, now their personal vehicles, which once backfilled the staffing needs of the department, are no longer available. Giving less only 30 days notice from the time of this implementation, we can obviously see that the department did not have the ability to purchase vans to increase staffing in order to meet this need. And with over 200 details per day, that's a lot of transportation in and out of the city. While you may not see the immediate impact on a day like today, on the first day of congestion pricing, where people have already chosen to stay out of the business district, what you will see on the days to come, especially with snow pending tomorrow, moving those 30 people in and around the business district will be a near impossibility. What's the safety impact of that? Keeping firefighters on the rigs for greater than 24 hours. Using constantly changing the riding positions of members. Constantly changing the riding list to account for members in a dangerous situation. That keeping members on duty longer keeps them exposed longer, keeps them more likely to get injured the longer they're on duty. By the same token, as we asked for the department to provide lockers for every one of these covering offices, so when they come in by public transportation, that they will have a place to store their gear. So when they arrive at their work location, they can be picked up by the department. Because they've told us that the cars are not welcome in the district. And if they would like to bring it to aid the department, it should cost them another $9.
But there's an easy fix to that problem. They're going to start issuing permits, and so if you are an essential worker, you'll get a permit. You go through without it. And so what it's going to be is everybody who's a political elite or a special protected class will get a permit, and every citizen is just going to have to pay out the ass to stay home.
But this is just another thing, bro. Like, can you name one thing that's happened positive about New York? Meaning from their leadership. What has gone right, bro? It's Gotham City, and with a problem like this, didn't you think ahead?
I really can't think of a single thing. That's really weird.
Think of one.
10, 20 years
10.
now.
I'm giving you guys 4 years. Just from Adams to the migrants to this dumbass to all the decisions. You don't think ahead. Yeah, it sounds good. That less congestion and less going green. But the people know. You don't think about the fire department. You don't like. This is just a bad policy that you're not asking. Who the hell's in your team?
It's also ironic. Like, you're talking about bad city management and the consequences that it has as LA burns now because of bad city management, not proper resources, like bad urban design. And now they're going to say, okay, we'll make it harder for first responders. But it has an easy fix, that particular issue. But no, I can think of everything that's gone wrong in New York over the last 5 years.
Oh my God!
And
you have to think that they're intentionally doing it though. Like I can't help but think that they're trying to like make people leave the place for whatever reason. But I don't think they're trying to make it better.
Or confine them to the place that they're at, which is what I want to get to. So you talked about one shithole. Let's go to another shithole. Could tolls be imposed in Chicago? As New York City, in New York City, in hopes of alleviating traffic congestion. So, according to CBS News, now Chicago is considering also implementing congestion pricing to help alleviate with the traffic problem in that city. But there's already a city that's moving towards what we call 15-minute cities. I'm assuming you guys have all heard of 15-minute cities.
Yes.
Correct? So the idea is that everything is within a 15-minute walk, which eliminates the need for cars, public transportation, buses. Everything can be a walk, bike ride, or skateboard away. Cleveland is currently in the process of adopting a 15-minute city. They're actively pursuing the development of their first and the nation's first 15-minute city. Introduced in July of 2023, the proposal focuses on promoting transportation choices beyond automobiles. Here's a news story from the local news in Cleveland discussing the 15-minute city proposal and where they're at.
Mayor Bibb introduced the idea of being the first 15-minute city in the United States. He did this in his State of the City address last night.
The urban planning model is new, but city planners told our Sarah Shookman the time is now to tap into federal dollars to address some of Cleveland's deeper problems.
Imagine a Cleveland where everything you need is less than 15 minutes away.
It's this ideal planning framework where human needs and desires are accessible within a 15-minute walk, bicycle ride, or transit trip. And that's really what we're striving for in this new planning model.
That's the mayor?
City planner Matt Moss says it doesn't have to be a dream. Instead of a concrete jungle where people work and separate places where people live, in a 15-minute city, everything is closer.
And it's starting out with the city we have now, and then asking residents how they might want their community to grow or change in ways that, again, make things more accessible or provide them with more opportunities to access the things they want to get to.
They're talking about outdoor prisons.
Yep, perfect. That's exactly what you're saying. Outdoor, open-air prisons, almost like Palestine. Just kidding. I don't want to get political.
Yeah. Oh, too late now, Rob.
I'm just kidding. These are jokes. But these are also in effect in the United Kingdom. So they're starting here in Cleveland, but they're already in effect in the United Kingdom. According to Yahoo News, they have one in Oxford that they're introducing, Canterbury, and Ipswich. Here's a video of a woman explaining the problem and that 15-minute cities could create for free-loving individuals who love freedom, and Trump, and French fries. You can hit this.
I love French fries.
It's down here and say more or less what other people are going to say about the effect of these 15-minute neighborhoods, soon to become digital ID facial recognition zones. Let's say my friend lives in Zone 3 and I'm in Zone 1. If, for example, I went to my friend's house in Zone 3, my parents normally come and pick me up in their car. It only takes 10 minutes. So does that mean that they would have to go round the ring road and back into town again? If my mum or dad had to drive round the ring road, it would take 30 minutes, causing much more pollution and leaving a much bigger carbon footprint. They will say, you can walk home. Would that be safe for me to walk home?
Not in
me
England.
as a 12-year-old
With the grooming gangs.
Not with the grooming gangs.
Is that really going to be safe? Then they
That
will
lady
say,
on the face,
oh,
on the
don't
right's
worry
face
about
is
that.
hilarious.
We've already thought of that. You'll be safe. We will have 1,000 cameras on the streets following you and tracking you all the way home.
This kid's what Greta Thunberg should
be.
be.
For your safety.
I love that. Oh, you can pause it there.
I love that.
Was
kid.
she eating chocolate ice cream or something? She looked like she had a little joke or smile.
Oh, I don't know. But listen, if you can't get people to willingly go with something, and there has been pushback for 15-minute cities, then what's the only way that you can get them to comply with force? And how are they forcing people to comply? by making them pay a toll in order to leave that part of town to go to another part of town. So my question for you guys is, do you guys think that the $9 congestion toll in New York is just the start of them implementing these 15-minute cities without calling them 15-minute cities? Instead of restricting your freedoms, they're actually saving the environment and saving you the effort of not having to sit in traffic by charging these ridiculous sums of fees to get to another part of town.
Let's talk a little bit about history, all right? You have the Greater London. All right, and you have the City of London that is inside of the Greater London. What is inside the City of London? That's a financial district. All right, even the Queen or the King right now of England, before they enter the City of London, they need to ask for permission of the mayor of the City of London. All right, so what they're doing here is pricing people out. All right, in Manhattan, maybe we don't have a king or a queen. They've been pricing real estate so high that it forces most of the people to have to live outside in places even like Jersey. You know, they move to Jersey and people around, and then they can't take their cars in the city. So the financial districts are pricing people out so they can run their fancy restaurants where they tricked you, where they're serving you at the table.
Of course.
They're their premium, I don't know, blood banks and whatever. So that's what they're doing. You know? Yeah, because they're all Satanists that drink blood every day.
Yes. It's a twofold. It's a two-pronged thing. Like, they want the money. It's a money grab. And they also want to get everybody used to the idea of having your mobility restricted. There was a story, I had to double-check my memory, out of Quebec, an island called Île-la-Madeleine off of the coast of Quebec, where they want to impose a tourist tax. And then the locals were like, well, what if we want to leave and not pay this tourist tax every time we ferry back to the mainland? And they say, oh, don't worry. You'll just show a QR code so that you'll be exempt from paying the tourist tax whenever you want to leave. And then they're like, aren't you just using us like sort of guinea pigs to create something of a 15-minute city?
Yeah, of course.
And they say, yep, we're using like goodbye is what they say in French.
That's happened in America. Anyone
awesome.
pre-check here?
You know, I have TSA. No, I have what's the other one?
TSA pre-check.
Clear. No, I have TSA. I have TSA.
All right, you're in
my
a
number.
Nexus is the other
It's
one.
exactly the same thing. You're in a federal database.
But I save 20 minutes every time.
Anyone that is willing to give away liberty for, I don't know,
liberty for
security will have neither.
That's what it is.
Rob, I think anything. I don't trust the government at all. It's no secret to everybody that's watching. I don't trust them at all. I worked for them for almost 6 years in the Air Force. I don't trust them at all. It's one of the reasons why I got out. I think Rob, they always go here, then they pull back, and then they get, all this stuff gets done. This is just another way of them control. Sooner or later, Rob, it'll be a 15-minute city.
Well, it might reduce, in Chicago, it might reduce the crime rate. Because if you have to pay $9 every time you want to go kill somebody in another district, you'll stay in your own district.
Well, you know what's crazy, though? In Chicago, I'm interested to see how long that thing's going to stay up there before people start shooting it and breaking it and running suicide drones inside of it.
Scrapping it for metal and shit.
For sure.
But no, I think they create the problem a lot of the time to give you the solution. Like, they're letting all this descend into chaos so they can say, hey, let's do this and we'll fix it. So, the 15-minute stay wouldn't be necessary without the crime and all the stuff they're causing.
Yeah, I agree. What do you, I think it's happening, Rob. I think this is the first step for.
Well, I think your program, what you just read about the QR code, is exactly what they want to do here. Where it's, if you want to take the toll, hey, you can get an Easy Pass and put it in your car and scan in your car, so we can always see where you're going.
Where you are.
Or you can pay an upcharge to pay it by cash. Or we'll bill you. We'll toll by plate invoice you. At this point, they're always watching you. But now they're just making it so you can't even go places. So when you say it's like an open-air prison, that's what it feels like. It feels like this is just the first step in getting us to the next step without us revolting and saying, no, we don't want to be in a 15-minute city. Because some of the concerns when it comes to 15-minute cities, and I'll read you all real quick. Because I put in, okay, if 15-minute cities, it says conspiracy theories, right? That's what they say. So I wanted to know what the theories were. Lockdown cities, surveillance state, Agenda 21 and the globalist takeover, forced urbanization, economic inequality, which is what you talked about, and gentrification, digital currency and travel credits, climate change as an excuse, a social credit system, banning vehicles, and eventually the end goal, possibly eugenics and population control. But 4 of these are right so far when it comes to the 15-minute cities and these tolls.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm looking over at Rob's computer. They do require ID for Pornhub in Florida.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And the fact that he didn't stop once you expose him. But
right.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.